Okay, so we are now live streaming.
All clear.
This
okay,
event
thank you very much.
So once again, this is our final sales and revenue leaders event of 2020. It's particularly exciting because at the end of this event, we're going to be announcing the top 50 sales leaders to follow in the UK. This is the 4th year's edition of this list. And a lot of effort and work has gone into it behind the scenes to reflect the industry's top leaders to follow. Before that, we've got an event of great content that we've become well known for. And it's important to share that we wouldn't be able to do it without the support of our sponsors. So thank you very much to SalesLoft and Aircall. We've got their leaders here today, Ollie and Andrei, who are going to open up this event and talk about the year, talk about some of the trends they're seeing as European sales leaders. Then we're going to go into the 7-minute talk. So we've got 4 excellent speakers today. We're going to be starting with Nick Shaw, who is the CRO of Brightpearl. Then we've got Natalie Lamb, who's just joined Silverfin, followed by Mike Harris, who's just joined Plural Lab, and then we're going to wrap up with Bruce Hunter, who's dialing in from Edinburgh representing user testing. As you're aware, we have our 7-minute format. Do engage in the comments and say hi. And then at the end of the 7 minutes, we're going to a panel discussion. And then we'll launch and announce and talk about the top 50 leaders. A couple of other companies to mention that have supported us this year includes Venatrix and G2, also SimilarWeb, SalesWorks, Refract, Air Marketing, Exactly, and also, who else did I say? Cognizant. So this is the opening. Let's get going. So just to begin with, we're going to have a conversation with Ollie Sharpe and Andrei, who have been supporting us this year. Ollie, just before we get into this, it'd be nice to just share a few words about what your highlight of the year has been and why you've been supporting sales confidence this year.
Yeah, I'd love to. So as James said, my name's Ollie Sharpe. I'm VP of Revenue at SalesLoft. We opened the office April last year. And one of the decisions we made very early on was to work with James. I've worked with James before at LinkedIn for a few years, but to work with James and sponsor what he was doing. And the reason why we took such an interest in it is because I believe that there was a massive gap in the market for, and not when I say market, it's not just to make revenue, but in the sales industry for something like James is doing. And it was great interest to us because it's not just looking at getting people together, it's actually does have a good cause, which is around we can talk about the mental well-being of salespeople, we can increase the number of females in the industry. So the fact that James is doing something positive for the sales function, I think that's why we made the initial step. Highlights, it's hard because we've not been out of the house for the last however many months. So highlights was like going to sit in the lounge for maybe an hour. But really, when it comes to sales confidence, we had the partner dinner at the beginning of the year. I don't think it's hard to actually say. I mean, the SDR awards was actually a good one for me because we did have 3 people in the top 20, I think, so it's quite a nice thing. But for me, more about sales confidence, what I've got from the last year of it is the connections that we make at these events, whether it's in the bar afterwards or whether it's speaking. People like Enrique at G2, Richard at Refract, Simon at Wellity, which advertising for him, Shabri at SalesWorks. The network we've built and I have built as a sales leader from what James has provided has been brilliant. I think I've seen it this year when we're all working at home, the people you can call on and ask for advice from. So that's been my highlight, having people to ask while I'm stuck at home that James has provided through his network.
Awesome, appreciate it. And Andrei, you're actually dialing in from Paris, and we had a good opportunity at the beginning of the year before this lockdown to spend time together. But what was the reason that Aircall and yourself got behind sales confidence this year?
Yeah, I think, there's a lot of similar here to what Ollie said, but I think, and pointing out that I am actually dialing from Paris, one of the observation I actually had at the beginning of the year when decided to support sales confidence was that I was observing maybe for the last 2 years or 3 years that really there was starting to be a shift from a lot of sales best practice, a lot of sales leaders in the US often being highlighted and being seen or being looked at, and that actually a lot of great stuff and a lot of great sales leaders and opinions were actually being heard just from small conversations here in Europe. And I think, and I really believe that within Europe, today the UK has this special position to actually lead the pack, let's say. And I think that within the UK then, the best, well, what I found back in January to be the best community to lead the pack here was sales confidence. I really felt like sales confidence was actually allowing to bring back all of the best, basically UK and European sales leaders to express what they were working on and actually influence and even start to have much more power over what was happening over the US. Aircall being a company that is sitting across the US and Paris, I even started to see this internally. If maybe, let's say, 3, 4, 5 years ago when we started, you could see this little, well, the team in the US doing their thing and really not looking at what was happening in Europe, and gradually starting to be slightly more humble and being looked at what's actually, how are they doing it in Europe? What are they doing different? And is it actually better than on some aspect than what we're doing? So that I think I really found this both in your vision, James, of the way you're elevating the sales community, in the way we actually see the sales B2B job today in the tech space, not only B2B now actually. And so that was the main reason for joining, I think, and bringing Aircall on board and support this whole community.
Excellent. And, before we invite Nick up, our first speaker, some of these elements, you touched on them, Ollie, from elevating females in the sales profession, and also, I guess, being a promoter of well-being. Is this something that you've had to double down on this year because of the circumstances, or something that you've just become more passionate about, and there's kind of good reason to be supporting some of those key areas?
100%. I mean, I think that it's made us make everybody rethink about our team as individuals, because I think we always think of them in the office, how we sort of entertain them or keep them busy in the office and keep them happy. When they're at home, it's a lot easier for them to find it tough, especially now we're going into winter as well. So we definitely, as soon as this started, really looked at what we can do to impact our team members to make sure that they don't have as tough a time as they could. I mean, one of the things that springs to mind is we started by having a rest day, a day off work, where the company closes down every other Friday. It just meant that people took the time away from the desk. And it's my worry is that people are working till 9 o'clock at night and stuff, and work is too easy to sit at your desk. So we've got to definitely think about that, of how we can make it easier for them to retain a work-life balance, when really there's a blended grey area between work and life now, and work and home.
No, that's great to hear. Is there kind of a final observation from you, Andrei, on this year and how you've adapted yourself as a leader in the business?
No, but I think to your point of showing that it's true, like sales confidence has been strong in actually encouraging women in tech and mental well-being, and more generally speaking, I would call it diversity. And what I think, to come back to my first initial point, Europe actually has an edge on being sensitive to diversity. Europe, by definition, is diverse, whether it be the language, the regions, the culture. Europe is a diverse part of the world. And I think that with diversity comes empathy. And I think that this is, with what's happened with the pandemic and the economic crisis that came with it, actually led to a lot of salespeople to question the way they were maybe doing sales. I mean, we've been talking a lot about consultative selling. We've had a lot of these conversations with Ollie, and it's the way that sales is progressing too. And today, I really believe that, well, here, again, there is an edge, there is a card to play, and Europe is in a strong position to actually position itself even stronger and come out even stronger than what it has started the year.
Excellent. Well, thank you both for the continued support of the community. And this is really what the top 50 sales leaders in the UK is about, is representing those leaders that demonstrate empathy and confidence in what they're doing. As two sponsors, your faces won't appear this year, but I'm grateful for all the support. And once again, thanks for getting involved. So I'm going to invite Nick up to the stage. Take care, guys.
Thank you, James. Thanks all.
Thank you, James. Cheers.